Welcome to Angelo's Tennis. I interviewed at the club, at the home club of Francis Tiafoe. It's the club that he supposedly grew up playing at. I guess he was born in Hyattsville, Maryland. The club is the Junior Tennis Champion Center, and I had done some research of this place because it's close to where I live, and thought it might be a place if I was going to work at a tennis club, it might be somewhere that I could work at. Because there was a guy there who no longer works there. He was a director, and he was really into play and stay, and they had a really big junior program. They have really nice facilities. If you're not familiar with the Junior Tennis Champion Center, look it up. Go there and visit. They got a lot going on there. Really nice facilities. So I done some research. I can't even find the videos of this guy anymore. He used to make videos, and I found myself working. I was working in Maryland at another club, and it didn't really last long. I think I was there for like 4 months, and I ran into a lot of trouble with the head pro who no longer works there. He started shortly before I did, and then shortly after I exited, he did as well. It was the COVID year. That could have something to do with it. The program just completely went to hell, which I knew it was going to after I left. So long story short, had a lot of issues with this guy, and so I started looking. I was in Maryland. I called the club. They gave me an interview, and I thought it was this. At this point in my tennis career, I thought it was hard to get something. I still thought it was hard to get something like this. I really didn't understand my worth, my value, we should say, at this point. And I had an interview. I went down there. I did the whole thing. It was a whole day, and first of all, the play and stay program, the junior program, isn't as good as they made it out to be. It's just like every other program. They do it completely backwards. They might as well use yellow ball, to be honest. So, but long story short, the director, I probably would have actually got hired. I probably would have wanted to work there. I ended up leaving the interview halfway through the day because the director of junior tennis, who no longer works there, I don't even know how long she worked there. Maybe she worked there for like a couple years. I don't even know. She was an Asian lady, maybe from Japan. I'm not sure what country she was from, but she definitely wasn't born in the United States. And she was absolutely horrible. And I had to do a on-court lesson. It was an overhead lesson. And she wanted me to teach the overhead in a traditional way. In my mind, I'm thinking, teach the overhead? You want me to teach the overhead? She's thinking like arm up, racket back. I'm like, this is like basic. This is what I came here for, to teach how to hit an overhead. And not only that, there was a group of kids. There was like 7 or 8 of them on the court. And I had to give a group serve lesson for these kids. And I gave the absolute greatest overhead lesson that I've ever given in my life. I had these kids. It was a game based. I had these kids banging little targets. They were so good. This is the thing about these clubs. Like some of these clubs are so spoiled. The kids are so fucking good. Little kids. And it's not even like a matter of like, are they going to be great players? It's a matter of, are they going to stick with tennis? That's the question. Are they going to be playing tennis 3 years later? Because these kids have choices, and you don't know where they're going to go. So I was super excited, gave this great lesson. And she's looking at me like I did a bad job. Like this is a terrible lesson. And she had this attitude the whole time. I mean, I could sense it. I shouldn't have done this, but I had some other issues I was going through at the time, which I'm not going to get into, which also could have led to where I'm at now and why I didn't continue on that path. But I ended up leaving the interview halfway through the day, and I told the director of all of the tennis, I told her that I couldn't go through with it because there's no way I could work for this lady. And it was other things interesting was during that day, I was hiding the fact that I worked at this other club because I left on bad terms. And one of the kids that was at that club was there, and he's like, "You look familiar. I know you. You're from here." And she was standing right there, and she's like, "You work there? You work at this place?" And her like attitude completely changed. So there was also the old director's son worked at the club, was a director at the club I was at, and I think if she would have known I worked there, that might have worked in my benefit, and her attitude might have changed because she was also looking at me like I was a nobody. Like, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. He can't even teach a fucking overhead. Where did he come from? Who is he? And she was just kind of going through the motions. So I ended up leaving. Didn't get the job. As I said, I walked off. I didn't even try to get the job. And she ended up, a couple years later, she no longer works there. I tried again. And I tried again recently, and again, same issues I'm not going to get into. Personal issues where I thought I could. I always flirt with the idea of I could do a full-time tennis job, especially at a place like that. Mostly because, again, as I said, the kids there, the juniors, are so amazing on their. Not necessarily because of the club. You know, getting into Tiafoe playing there, it's not. In my opinion, it's not so much the club or the pros. It's the facility. It's the fact there's so many good juniors there. There's so many opportunities to compete and play against great players being in Washington, D.C. So if you are a player like Tiafoe or a kid like Tiafoe, you're going to have all of the means to get better and then to possibly get noticed and then go from there. So that's my short story at the Junior Tennis Champion Center. If you're not familiar with it and you're in the DC area, it's worth going down there and checking it out. They got all these cool pictures of all the players, the kids that went to college from playing there. And yeah, that's my Tiafoe Tennis Club story.